Hello and welcome to Conversation Corner. My name is Kunal, and today the idea that we'll be exploring is something that I would like to coin as a blank mind is a happy mind. I initially thought of bringing up the very famous line from the movie Fight Club: the things we own end up owning us. Let's take a look at this in detail. Why do the things that we own end up owning us? Like, for an example, buying a house on a loan. Let's say you earn a good amount of money and you want to buy a house somewhere. So you decide to go to the bank, and the bank sees that you earned really well. They're really impressed and they believe that you'll definitely be able to pay your installments on time. So they decide to give you a loan for, say, 10, 15, 20, or 30 years, depending on your requirements. You finally purchase that house, you move in, and now you're very happy. What happens now? The EMI, or the monthly installment, is due every month. So now every time you spend your money, you need to be thinking about the EMI that you need to pay towards the end of the month, and accordingly you need to craft your expenses to that. Now if you compare that to just renting a place, it might be far cheaper, because when you rent a place, you generally don't have to take out a loan from a bank in order to do that. Renting normally turns out to be cheaper. So when you made the decision of purchasing the house, what you did was you made yourself a slave, in a certain sense, of that house. Now, everything that you do in life in terms of the monetary aspects revolve around that house that you've owned. If you don't have enough to pay for the installments of that house, you end up losing that house. And since you worked so hard to get that house means a lot to you, you'll do anything to keep it in place. So let's say work becomes very stressful. You don't like the environment that you're working in. You'll have one of two options. You'll either quit and join a new company, or you'll continue with your current job. Let's say quitting is not an option. The market out there is quite tough and employers aren't really hiring. You stick to the same job, and despite having a decent amount of savings, you're still not in the position to leave it completely, because you've got installments to pay and you don't want to lose the house you've paid so dearly for. So what is happening is, instead of owning the house, now the house has owned you. The house is making all your life decisions, because what you do is what you do after taking into consideration the consequences of your actions. And these consequences of choosing to live in that house that you bought now dictate all the other things that you're going to do in life. Maybe you wanted to go abroad for a sabbatical, and if you had saved enough, you might have been able to do that. But now you can't, because the house owns you and you have monthly installments due every month. So that is what was trying to be conveyed by the movie Fight Club. The things you own end up owning you. Now, when I thought about this, it made a lot of sense, and I realized this does not apply just to material items. This applies to thoughts and ideas too. And sometimes, if thoughts and ideas own you, it's going to be far worse, because material stuff is outside yourself, it's at least tangible and visible, so leaving it is not so hard. Leaving a thought or an idea that has taken space in your mind is much harder. Let's say you were trying to apply for a dream job, or you were trying to clear the entrance exam of a very tough and competitive exam, and you worked a year, or you worked maybe 2 or 3 years, and finally you realize that you were unable to clear that exam. Maybe in the first attempt you were unable to clear the exam, maybe in the second attempt you were unable to clear the exam, maybe in the third attempt you were unable to clear the exam. And at the end of the day, it's finally dawned upon you that Perhaps you were not cut out for what you were trying. During this time, every activity that was happening in your life was centered around that particular exam if you were really keen on getting it. Now, this is what contributes to a lot of success that people experience in terms of certain achievements, but the flip side is if you don't end up getting what you want, the misery is tenfold, because now your thoughts are only going in one certain direction, and your thoughts are now telling you you have wasted a lot of time, and there is access to a certain lifestyle or a job that you won't have because you did not clear that. And now, instead of exploring other possibilities, instead of considering that you may be cut out for something else, instead of considering that life has other opportunities for you and not the ones that you want to capitalize on, you still think about the one that got away, probably speaking. Let's apply this to exams or a dream job. So, all your attention is now captured by that one thing you failed at, okay? And now it's clouding your judgment. What essentially happened was, instead of you owning the thought of passing the exam, the thought of passing the exam owned you, and it made you believe that everything you do in life was geared towards clearing that exam. It's a bit hard to understand this concept in the beginning, but when you do understand it, you get to realize there never really should be anything in life that is absolutely more important than everything else. Everything in our life consists of many things. I don't care what you're doing in the world, you'll still be brushing your teeth and you'll be taking a dump every day. So we like to, or I wouldn't say we, our minds like to categorize certain things as very special or very important, and in general marketing and society also tend to play on this. So whatever is not available in great abundance is generally marketed as something very valuable. Okay, let's say diamonds. While there are industrial applications to diamonds, most of its use is in jewelry. And if you come to really think about it, what is jewelry going to do for you? I mean, unless your business is selling jewelry, you don't have much to do with diamonds as such. You can't eat diamonds. Um, you can't use diamonds as tools for hammering your nails in. I mean, if you know of some practical application of diamonds, do let me know. But there are thoughts or ideas of what should be there in your life, and when these thoughts find place in your mind, that's when you start becoming really anxious, that's when you start becoming really moody or sometimes even depressed, because the moment you have created a certain desire and you've said to yourself that it's absolutely essential to have this, you've also affirmed that you don't have it, and the gap between having and not having is a time period during which you don't give yourself permission to be happy. You're literally miserable. And that's why the thoughts that you allow to stay for way longer than they should will end up owning you. Just like the things that you own you, certain assumptions and thoughts that you've made in your life will also own you, and it will make you far more close minded as a person. So, if you want to live without too much stress or anxiety, one of the best things to do is to remove the word should in terms of career, in terms of a certain lifestyle, because your life is bigger than that. Your life is bigger than your accomplishments, and it's time you took stock of that. The world won't end if you don't get that Lamborghini. The world won't end if you don't get to have a world trip. Oxygen won't leave your lungs if you don't get to marry that one person you thought was your soulmate. Nothing in life should be so super important that not having it means you didn't live life at all. Life has a lot of possibilities for you, and you need to have an open mind in order to access them. I hope what I said made sense. If it did, leave your comment in the comment section and I'd be glad to read it.